How do kids learn about core values? Right from wrong, good from evil? Well, today we're diving into a really fascinating place to find those lessons, the colorful and surprisingly deep world of Islamic cartoons. We're going to see exactly what they're designed to teach.
And that's the big question, isn't it? We usually think of cartoons as just, fun and games. But what we're about to see is that they can be incredibly powerful tools for moral education. They can actually shape a child's entire understanding of the world. So we're going to look at two stories today that seem pretty different on the surface. First, we've got Mirha. She's in this spiritual fight against something she can't even see. It's all about fear versus faith. And then we've got a brother and sister, Faizan and Barira, who are learning a much more down-to-earth lesson about money, respect, and what it means to be family. Okay, let's start with that spiritual battle. It's really interesting because the whole thing revolves around just one single phrase, a word that's believed to have the power to ward off evil. And that phrase is Bismillah. It's Arabic for in the name of God. Now, this is a huge deal. It's one of the first things Muslim kids learn. The whole idea is to start everything you do, whether it's eating dinner or even just starting your homework, by saying this phrase. It's about invoking God's name.
So our story kicks off with two friends, Mirha and Fatima, about to eat. Mirha kind of thinks saying Bismillah all the time isn't a big deal, so she just digs in. But then, something feels off. She says her plate feels weirdly heavy, and this wave of fear just washes over her. And that's when she hears it, a really chilling whisper, explaining why it's there. The story goes right for it, and names the villain, the Shaitan, or Satan, who says, hey, when you forget God's name, I get to pull up a chair.
So that's the lesson right there. In the universe of this cartoon, forgetting to say Bismillah isn't just a mistake. No, it's basically like sending out an open invitation for evil to come and join you, to share your food and to share your space.
Mirha is, of course, totally freaked out. She runs to her friend Fatima, who connects this scary experience to a really important religious teaching. She explains a lesson from the Prophet Muhammad, making it crystal clear that this isn't just a spooky moment, it's a direct example of a core Islamic belief. And the fix? It's just as simple as the problem. The next time they sit down to eat, Mirha says Bismillah, but this time she really means it. And just like that, poof, the fear is gone. The heavy feeling disappears, and all she feels is peace. This lesson isn't just told in stories. It gets drilled in through other ways too, like in these songs from Deen Kids TV. You hear about the pilot on the plane saying Bismillah, little Hamza on his bike saying Bismillah. It becomes this catchy, rhythmic part of a kid's world, making the lesson stick. All right, now let's switch gears. We're going to see how these big spiritual ideas get applied to something we can all relate to, a family squabble involving faith, family, and a little bit of money. The whole story centers around something called Eid. So if you're not familiar, Eid is basically a cash gift that kids get from older relatives during the big Eid festival. And for a kid, this is amazing. It's your own money to do whatever you want with. So we meet Faizan and his sister Barira. They've both got their Eid, and they both have a goal. Faizan is dead set on getting a remote control car, but he's impulsive. The money just burns a hole in his pocket. His sister, Barira, she wants a mini pearl bag, but she's the complete opposite. She's careful and saves every penny. So when their dad gently suggests that maybe Faizan should be a little smarter with his money, Faizan just lashes out. And this moment is so important. It shows us his big flaw. It's not just that he's bad with money, it's that he's being disrespectful to his dad. And boom, just like in the first story, this bad behavior is immediately linked to a direct religious teaching. Faizan gets a reminder of a hadith, which says basically that God's happiness is tied to your father's happiness. The message couldn't be clearer. Respecting your parents is a sacred thing. Well, as you can probably guess, Faizan quickly runs out of money again and is feeling pretty sorry for himself. And that's when the story takes a turn. The spotlight moves over to his sister, Barira, and what she does next. In a really beautiful moment, Barira walks up to her brother and hands him the remote control car he wanted so badly. She used her own money, the money she was saving for her pearl bag, to make him happy. She totally sacrificed her own wish for his. And this one act of kindness just completely changes Faizan. He is just floored with gratitude and love for his sister. He doesn't just say sorry, he makes a real promise to save up his own money to buy her the bag that she gave up for him.
He finally gets it. He's learned about sacrifice and giving back.
So what happens when you put these two stories side by side? Well, you get a kind of moral compass, a guide for how to live a good life.
You can almost see it as a blueprint. Step 1, start with faith, saying Bismillah as your foundation for peace and protection. Step 2, respect your parents because their happiness is tied to God's. Step 3, be generous to your family. And what's the final takeaway? It's that relationships are worth so much more than things. That's where the real wealth is.
And they don't leave you guessing. The cartoon spells it right out at the end. The narrator just comes in and says, hey, the moral of the story is that true love is family, and we should always cherish it. So when you boil it all down, this whole moral universe is built on 3 main pillars. You've got faith, which gives you protection and purpose. You've got family, which is all about respect and love. And you have generosity, which is the simple idea of putting someone else's happiness before your own. And what's so cool is how it's all connected. It starts with just one word, Bismillah, a simple acknowledgement of God. And from that one little action, a whole way of life flows out, one that's built on respect, love, and selflessness. Which really brings us back to where we started. In a world that feels so complicated sometimes, maybe the most powerful way to teach kids how to be good people is through a simple, clear story. A story that gives them a compass to follow. It's definitely something to think about.